Hey readers, this is Liz Davidson from Beyond Solitaire, and I'm here with a roundup of what I read in the month of May. I only read 5 books in May, so I'm having kind of a slow start to the summer. But hey, you know what? Some reading is better than no reading, and I did read some interesting stuff, so let's talk about it. The first book I read in May was The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James, and it's about someone who is obsessed with true crime. She gets a chance to interview a potential murderer who was acquitted and now lives in her town, and there's also a ghost involved. So if you want something that's sort of true crime and also supernatural thriller, then The Book of Cold Cases was pretty fun. In some ways I thought that maybe too much was explained about the ghost and it wasn't actually as scary as I was hoping that it would be. But I did like the main character, I wanted her to make it, and I enjoyed a lot of aspects of the novel. So, I mean, it's basically like a beach read with some death in it, so if that's your thing, you'll probably enjoy The Book of Cold Cases. After that, I read Tampa by Alissa. I actually reviewed that already on the channel, and I'll put a link in the show notes below. It is extremely graphic, you have been warned, and it is about a middle school teacher who is sexually attracted to her pubescent students, and she commences an affair with an 8th grade boy, and it is a very difficult read, but if you can handle that subject matter, I actually do think it was worth it. And you can find out more about that in my review, link below. After that, I read one of my favorite books in a long time, and that was Bittersweet, How Sorrow and Longing Make Us Whole by Susan Cain. This book meant a lot to me because I myself am prone to melancholy. I love to listen to sad music. I like books and movies that make me cry, and this book made me feel very affirmed in those tendencies. And it was really just an interesting study of how bittersweetness, a sense of what is poignant, can enrich our lives, bring out our inner artists, and help us engage with the world in a way that is really lovely. We are in a culture now that emphasizes happiness, or at least the outward appearance of happiness above all else. And I liked to see the bitter gets celebrated alongside the sweet a little more in this book. So I actually really highly recommend it. It was great, and I actually might keep that one around or give it to someone I think will really appreciate it, because that book should be read more. And then the 4th book I read in May, and I'm gonna garble the title, but it was Kaikeyi by Vaishnavi Patel, and it was a really interesting take on the Ramayana, where the evil stepmother in the story is actually redeemed through the book. And I think what really made this work for me is that not only was it a cool mythological retelling of something that's not Greco-Roman, which I really enjoyed, but it was just a really interesting look at women in society, how women can relate to each other, what families can look like, who's able to love others even outside of biological relationships. And also it had a magic system that I really thought worked. So a lot of times magic is cool, but it doesn't necessarily become integral to a character or how the world works. In this case, the magic that Kaikei discovers in her journey through her life, and as an avid reader of books that her mother left behind for her, she discovers a binding plane that helps her see and manipulate social relationships. And what's really interesting is that this magic system really works both in terms of how we can understand her relationships with other characters, how we can understand the way she treats people, and also how she can detect things about her world. And so the magic really played a part in her character development and also the development of the story, and I really valued it. I thought it was really good. So I like this novel a lot. I would definitely read more for this author. I highly recommend it for anybody who likes retellings of old stories, especially those that have now a more feminist bent to them. And then the last book I read this month was called Woman on Fire. It was by Alissa, Barr, and it was just entertaining kind of art thriller. Basically, it was about an investigative journalist who is on the trail of a stolen piece of art that was taken by the Nazis during World War II. She's not the only person who wants this art. She meets a bunch of different people on the way, and things get murderous and crazy and exciting. So I thought that in some places the book was a little bloated. It wasn't necessarily the best book ever, but it was a really fun art thriller. I read it while visiting my parents in San Antonio, and it was a great afternoon read. So those are the books that I read in May. I really need to speed it up because I've got to get through some more of my hard copy books before I move at the end of this month. So I'm hoping for June to be a big one. And of course, I'll check in with you then, and hopefully before then, with some more reports on what's interesting to me in book world this month. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, comment if you read anything good in May, and most of all, happy reading.